the Cooking Daddy, where I'm going to teach you how to cook delicious meals on a budget. Today we're cooking pork steaks. These are pretty big steaks. They look pretty expensive, but they didn't cost me very much. The ingredients I'm going to be using today: Chicago steak seasoning, just some black pepper, a bit of honey, onion powder, garlic. For the sides, I'm doing mashed potatoes and gravy, and corn. Some of that double up corn, 48 cents. And some good stuff. So, first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to prepare your meats. Actually, before that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead, if you're using cast iron, start heating up your cast iron and get a pot of water for your mashed potatoes and start boiling that. And once you got those started going, then we can go ahead and start preparing the meat. So, this Chicago steak seasoning, we're going to pour it on top. If you don't have it, that's okay. You don't need it. All this is salt, red bell peppers, pepper, and red pepper flakes. So you don't actually need this, but if you got it, you're just going to apply it pretty liberally to the meat there. You're going to want to get both sides. So you'll flip it over. And apply it again to the other side. Now, you don't have to make it exactly like me, but if you wanted to, that's why I showed you the ingredients and how I'm doing this. And that's kind of how you want them to look, right about there. Kind of covered in it, and that's it. That's all you do. You're just gonna kind of let this sit on the meat for a little while, and then we're gonna start cooking. So here's our layout here. We got our big cast iron here. We're gonna put the pork chops in, a pot with water, the mashed potatoes. This here is gonna be for our corn. We're gonna do kind of a roasted corn sort of deal today. So first thing you're gonna want to do is that meat's gonna take a little while to cook. So we're going to get started on that. First thing you need, butter. This is just Imperial butter. It's like 84 cents for a 4-pack. You're going to open it up. And you're just going to cut some dollops of this. I'm never really super specific with it. 2-3 tablespoons maybe. But you can just come in, start laying that on your cast iron. And cast iron should be hot, so it should be doing this right here. That's what you want. And this one here, the temperature on this guy is a little higher. We're at about a medium heat. For your corn, it's a little lower. You don't want to burn your corn or anything, so I put it pretty low, probably about quarter, a little less than quarter. And we're not going to use as much butter, but we're going to put a little bit in there. Notice it didn't do exactly what this guy over here did. Save that. You might need some more later, but that's okay. Once you got that butter going, now if you use a cast iron, this guy's going to be hot. Touch it. Use that. Swirl that guy around. Get your butter going. The butter's going to be nice and hot. Here's where you're going to take your garlic. And I am using just a great value minced garlic in a jar. I use a lot of this stuff. It's good. Just get about a spoonful. Throw it on there. You're going to want to cook it. Now it's so hot, it's going to cook quick. Once you get that on there, kind of spread around a little bit. Now you're going to want to start putting your meat on. You're going to take your meat, you're just going to lay it on top. Now, these are pretty big pieces. Like I'm only gonna be able to do 2 at a time. But that's okay. I might just cut this guy in half. He's pretty big. So you're just gonna let that go. You're gonna let that cook there. If you want to, you can put some butter on the top, but I usually wait a little bit until I do that. So now, this guy looks like he's getting about ready for the corn. And this is just a double up corn. Nothing fancy, nothing special, but it's corn and it tastes good. You open your can. You can cook it with the juice in it, or you can pour it out. I'm going to pour mine out a little bit. Now we got to pour it out. I'm going to dump it in there. Now we got that in there. I'm going to put a little bit more butter on the top right there. And then, you don't have to, but I like to. Put a little lid over top. Help get that butter on the top melted. Because it is at a low heat. It's not gonna. You're not gonna fry this corn. You don't want to fry it. You can, if you want to do it at a high heat and you can get that real roasted soft corn, you can do that. But we're not going to do that today. Now the best thing about cooking is most of the time there's not a specific way to cook. There's not a specific way to season your stuff. You don't have to follow a recipe to a T. You can feel free to change it however you want, and most of the time it's going to turn out good. Another good thing to do with pork steaks is cover them in brown sugar. Brown sugar's good. Now these are big pieces of meat, you know, and you don't really need to get this big of a piece of meat. I do, just because the place I shop at, you can get good pieces of meat for not that much money. These guys came in a pack of, I think it was 9 or 10, and it only cost me about $7. Pork is real cheap. So you can see in here, the butter has started to come down. It started to kind of fry. You can kind of see some of the garlic sticking in there. So we don't want it to get too dry, because that butter almost acts as a frying agent. So we want to put some more butter in there. And like I said, you don't have to use butter. You can use like an olive oil. Olive oil is a good alternative and healthier for you. It's a little more expensive, but if you can swing and want to swing that olive oil, more power to you. Olive oil gives lots of meats a real good taste. It fries the outside of it real good. Gives you a good crispy outside and a good inside. Really, we just need to let it cook. And these are big, thick pieces of meat, so we want to let them cook a while, especially this one back here. This guy's enormous. This guy's probably going to be finished here in a little bit. So your corn here, take that off. You can kind of see right around the edges that your butter's starting to do its job. It's bubbling. So we're going to take our spoon here, and we're just going to kind of mix it around. We don't want to burn the corn. We just want to, we really want to heat it up. And depending on how long you cook it, That determines how soft the corn's going to be. If you've never had a good roasted corn, I suggest try it once. You could put salt and pepper in the corn if you want to, but I don't. I think corn tastes really good. I've done it a few times and it just never turned out very well, honestly. I either added too much salt, too much pepper. We've been on for a while on these meats, so we're going to go ahead and flip them now, see how they look. Might be a little too soon, but let's find out. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Looking real good. At this point, what I like to do, take some more butter. I'm using a lot of butter, but it tastes good. Sit it right on top of that guy. Put that on top of that guy. Or girl. Whatever. Now to do your gravy, you have a couple options here. All these drippings and stuff on the inside, you can use that to make a gravy, and that makes a delicious gravy. And I'm going to do that tonight, show you guys how to do that. Or you can get little packets of gravy like this. This is just a McCormick's gravy. They have cheaper ones, and the cheaper ones just don't taste as good. They're not bad, but McCormick, I don't know what they do, what they put in it, but it just tastes a little bit better. So if you can swing that, you're in good shape. We're just going to stir it up again. Anyway, so 48 cents for the corn. If I'm using, let's say I'm using 2, well tonight I'm using 3. I got 3 of these pork steaks. So 3 pork steaks. And then the mashed potatoes. Again, we're going cheap. There's just an instant Great Value brand box of mashed potatoes. It says it's made with real potatoes. I hope so. But these mashed potatoes here, they cost about $4. Of course, I'm not using the whole box. That box will last us quite a while. So think about, I don't know, $2, $3 for your meat, 48 cents for your corn. These are like 80 cents or so. If you use this, I'm not going to use this today, but if you were to use this, and you can use this, say 80 cents for that. You know, you're looking at, this is about $10, and this is a good meal. The size of these pork steaks, plus your corn, and it's cooked. And then you have your mashed potatoes. Now you can follow the directions on the box here. Directions on the box say 2 servings, 2/3 cup, 4 servings, 1/3 cup. That's about what we're looking at. 1/3 cup, 2 tablespoons of margarine, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of milk, and 1/3 cup of flakes. My wife cooks these. She showed me how to cook them. She's still better than I am. But you can't put 2 cups of water in there, because as it's steaming, when you're getting it up to boil, it's just going to evaporate out. So you're going to end up with less than what you thought you were. So what honestly we do, and it's probably not the most cost-effective way to do this. Measuring this out would be a more cost-effective way. But what I do is I just put in how much water I think I'm going to need. This is probably 2-3 cups. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour in a little bit of milk. When I'm ready, I'm going to pour in the flakes and we just stir it up. And that's it. Real easy. These guys are starting to smell like they're done. So, meat thermometer. If you don't have one, I recommend getting one. They're not expensive, and you can use them multiple times. So it's just a little investment into your cooking. This one's nice because it tells you what temperature everything needs to be at. So it says here pork, which is what these are, pork chops, need to be at 165. So we need that needle to get it right up in there. So we're going to start with this big guy. We're going to stab into him and see where we are. And you're not going to hurt nothing by stabbing into the meat. I was afraid at first when you stab into the meat, if it's not done, you got to take it out and you got the juices coming out. And you think, oh man, that's not good. But it's okay. It doesn't hurt nothing. It's better to make sure you had a good temperature than to lose a little bit of juice. So we're getting there. We're not quite there yet on these guys. This little one maybe. But this one's not a very good one. You gotta kind of get in there and get a majority of that spike into the meat. But they have real good ones you put in there, and they even have instant ones you can get. It'll instantly tell you where you're at on your temperature. See, invest in a decent one. If you can't, this is fine. But it'll make your life a lot easier. So I'm willing to bet these are just about done. But the meat thermometer is not telling us these. Alright. So we're in there now. Yep. See, once you get it in there enough, it's coming up. Yep, dang it. Oh, we got a bone in there too, so it's just not wanting to go in. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Not quite done yet. We're getting close though. Come back to our corn. We got it going good now. And you can kind of feel as you go along, it's starting to get a little softer. I don't want it to get too soft because I kind of like a good crunchy corn. There's a good amount of butter in there. You can add more butter if you want. I'm not going to. I've used enough butter on this meal. But I can see that I'm starting to lose butter on there. I don't want that. We're going to add a little more butter. So we're going to try this little guy again. As the meat gets hot, it's going to start cooking itself almost. We were at 140 when I checked this a couple minutes ago. And we're already at about 160 now. A little under. No, we're hitting 160 now. Now it's okay to take it off at 160 because it's hot. If it's hot, it's going to cook itself a little bit more. So 160, we're okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this guy off here. Look at that. That looks good, doesn't it? We're checking the big guy, and he's at 165. He's good to go. He's done. So, we're going to take him, put him right there. That's a good looking one right there. That's good. I'm going to move him right in the middle where all that heat is concentrated and let him cook. Now at this point, your corn is pretty much done. You can open a canned corn and eat it out of the can. You really don't got to heat this any more than it is. It's heated, it's buttered. You can put salt or however you want on there. Since I'm just going to turn that off, I'll just put the lid back on the top. I've used a ton of butter. I probably don't need more, but I'm going to put a little more on there. My video cut out earlier. I'll go ahead and move some. This piece of pork here is a little thinner. So, in all reality, it's probably about ready to flip now. Yep. Check your meat temperature throughout cooking. I know we're pretty far into this and you haven't been doing that. If you've been doing exactly what I did, you might have burnt yourself a little bit, but check your temperature as you're cooking. But like I said, this little piece was thin. That big piece that I had on earlier was real thick and it took a lot longer to cook. So I'm willing to bet this might be, and it's so thin, it's not ready, but I was just trying to show you. But we're just going to let that go for a little bit longer. See how much water we have left? It's shrunk down quite a bit because we're still waiting. I like to make my mashed potatoes right when everything's ready. That way the mashed potatoes are good and hot. So we're going to check this pork chop temperature now. See, we're already almost there. This thinner piece of meat did not take long. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to start gathering the ingredients and let this go for a minute. Move it around a little bit there. I'll let this go for just a minute while I gather everything to make the gravy. Our gravy is super easy. What we're going to need is a little bit of flour and milk. And everything that's inside that cast iron skillet there. Now, depending on how much you want to make, really depends on how much flour and milk you put in there. I don't need a lot. So I'm going to use probably half a cup of flour, and I really probably don't even need that much. So, wooden spoon. If you don't have wooden spoon, get you some. They're probably my most used utensil in the kitchen, these wooden spoons. And my cast iron. I love my cast iron. So, we can go ahead and put it on. I leave it on there at medium. This guy's ready. I know it. He was ready when I checked, so I'm just going to let him go just a little longer. Going to add him to my plate of meat. So now we got all this guy in there. We're going to get our flour. And I'm using, now I really don't even want to use that much. This is probably right around a quarter cup. We're going to put it in there. You're going to mix it up. And what you're making here is called a roux. Now you want to be quick with this because this flour will burn real quick. You want to mix it up into these drippings here. I almost touched that. It's hot. So you're going to mix all that up. You want to make sure all the gravy's mixed up. You don't want these chunks. Sometimes you can't avoid it. That's why I cut down how much flour I'm going to use. It was probably a little too much, but that's all right. So you see, it's kind of a cheap roux, but it does the trick. Try not to let it stick to the bottom of that too much, otherwise it's going to burn. All right. So now you got your roux. Time to add milk. So we're just going to add a little bit of milk at a time. A little bit. Mix it on up. Then we can turn the heat off now. At this point, we're okay. A little bit more milk. There we go. Now we're starting to get gravy. You just want to mix it up. You want to get as many of those clumps out as you can. But you just keep mixing, keep mixing. Maybe we can turn the heat on just a little bit. Now if you're using cast iron, that cast iron is going to stay hot. That's kind of why I turned it off at first. Because I don't, you never know how cool, once you put something else in it, it's going to make it. And I didn't want to sit here and just fry everything and blacken it up. So I turned it down a little bit, actually turned it off, but that cast iron retains heat. So if you're using cast iron, that's okay. If you're not using cast iron, I would put it on a lower heat setting. It's pretty thick, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Put it on a lower heat setting and do the same thing that I did. Now your aluminum pots and pans, they are going to get hot a lot faster than a cast iron. keep that in mind as you're cooking. When you were preparing the meats, you probably didn't have to, if you're using aluminum, you probably don't have to turn them on so quickly. Now we're starting to get the consistency we want here. I'm going to put that on the lowest setting. You probably don't even have to turn on your aluminum, the heat onto your aluminum pots until you're right about ready to cook. Now that is a thick gravy. I'll put some more milk in there. With the gravy, you just want to continuously mix it. You don't really want to stop until you get it to where you want it to be. This may have been a little too much flour, I think, but that's okay. But you got to learn. You never stop learning. I learn things new every day. Some advice to give, being the sage that I am. If you think you know it all, that's the day you should quit. There we go. Now we're starting to get that color. And it's not super thick, but it is pretty thick. I like a good thick gravy, but what we had before was a little too thick. Now it's starting to look real good. So I'm trying to heat off on that now, because that's about ready. In fact, what I might add to that, my black pepper. This is a Fiesta brand. I love these guys. They're a little more expensive. Like I said, sometimes I like to go out and get something a little higher priced. But, in fact, I'll show you the difference, because I bought this real cheap. I don't even think it's Supreme Tradition. I don't know who makes that. But this stuff, guys, is a powder. Real easy to misjudge how much you're putting in there when it's a powder. This stuff is not a powder. This stuff is regular ground stuff. Man, it's good. Put a little bit of that in there. And can't go wrong with your seasoning salt. A little bit of seasoned salt in there. That looks good. This is called a pork gravy because it came from pork chops, from a pork, from a pig. You can do the same thing with chicken. When you're cooking chicken, all the stuff at the bottom, you just do the same thing and you got yourself chicken gravy. Steak, you can do it with the steak, and that's where you get your brown gravy. It's just a beef gravy is what a brown gravy is. Whoa, I think I fell off. That's okay. We probably don't need him anymore. So now we're ready. We're ready to get our mashed potatoes going. So I'm going to turn the heat off on your mashed potatoes. Like I said, measure it out. It'll probably turn out the way you want it, measuring it out. I don't. This is the way I do it. This is the way my wife taught me. This is not the way I used to do it. So we add some milk. Just add the flakes there, maybe. Whoa, a little too much. And that'll happen if you do it the way I do it. You just mix it up. See, wasn't enough actually. I'm gonna add a little more. And I just add a little by little, like that, until I get to the consistency I want to be at. Not enough, so we're going to add some more. It may have been a little too much, but now there's two ways to fix that. If you put too much flakes in there, just put a little bit more milk or water in there. But then you can get into the dangerous game of adding until you get a whole giant pot full of mashed potatoes, and you don't want that. That's pretty close. I like mine a little more runny, but that looks good. That looks good. Alright guys, and there you have it right there. Pork chop dinner, pork gravy, mashed potatoes, and corn. This is the biggest piece here. This is going to be my wife's plate. Guys, give your girl the biggest piece, man. Don't be stingy with your meat. She wants it, give it to her. Thank you for cooking with me today, guys. I appreciate you all. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment what you guys want me to cook next. Till next time.